Hey guys, it's Eric with the Miller Park Minute, where we're throwing strikes, getting likes, hitting dingers, getting listeners. Back again with another episode. This is your only daily Brewers podcast. We're on 7 days a week, 5:30 a.m. Central Standard upload time. We are on YouTube, Spotify, Google, Amazon, Castbox, iHeartRadio, Pocket Cast, Radio Public, and Apple Podcasts. Anywhere you find podcasts, we're there. We put this special effort into being there. This is recorded nightly, so if you want to join the show, you can message me, reach out. Glad to have you on. And I typically post those links on Facebook and Twitter. Saturdays, we always do a live session. That is this Saturday, a live session. We waited until after the game, so that's why it's not at 4 o'clock. And if you want to support the show, you can go over to patreon.com/Miller Park Minute, /Miller Park Minute. We also have a SeatGeek code, so $20 off when you use the code Miller Park Minute at SeatGeek. And the Butcher just used that today, I believe. So we're starting to get there. We're getting there all the way around. So today we have wrestling podcast guru, Milwaukee native, and now currently living in the South. But this guy he's definitely not the voice for radio. He's got a face too. And
I don't know about all that, but I try, man. I definitely keep up with my Brewers every day. So
right. Well, and where else would you do that but at the Miller Park Minute podcast, right?
That's right. I told you before we came on, you're my first stop every day. I don't even go on brewers.com before I go on your site first. That'll tell you how good of a fan, how loyal of a fan I am.
I appreciate that. One of the things I do, and one of the parts of this show that is very important to me, is to get the news out there and to get what people want to hear. I mean, I'm not going to drone on and on, but at the same time, you see my fire episodes. Sometimes I'm hot on something. Sometimes I'm cold. You know, it just depends on.
And you have an opinion, and I like that. And you let others express theirs. And
yeah, and that's what we're a platform for.
I mean, you do your Corbin Burns show, and that a lot of people had different opinions on that. And
right. Well, and that's what this is about. At the end of the day, I mean, I like to have fun and talk baseball, and what a better platform. I mean, it's not here. I'm not here all about it's not about money. I'm not paid to do this. I mean, I made $5 on ad revenue.
Can you type in?
Not right now, but I can in a little bit. Nope, I'm in the middle of a live show.
Please.
No, I'm in the middle of a live show, bud.
Can you
after I'm done?
How to type it?
After I'm done. What are you looking at the FGTV thing?
Yeah.
Just give me a little bit.
Please.
I'll write it out for you.
Okay, right now.
Yeah. Let me get a piece of paper. Hold on.
Oh, you good, man? You good?
So, anyways, yeah. I mean, I have fun with this. What do you need written out?
FGTV. Mario Maker.
Mario Maker. Okay. There you go, sir. All right, close my door, please. Thank you. All right. It's great when they can type their own stuff in on YouTube. Then I don't have to do it for them.
There you go.
I am ready for some baseball. I am so excited. This was fun today. This was a great start, especially with Rowdy Tellez hitting the homer. I mean, Garrett Mitchell
on the first pitch, first swing of the bat.
Right. That's the best way to start a baseball game. Best way to start spring training. Not that it matters, but a win over the Dodgers in the first spring training game of the year. Excuse me. Doesn't get much better. It really doesn't.
You're getting all choked up. You're so excited.
I am. It's amazing. And we got the thing about spring games is it's not about necessarily the win, the loss. This is just seeing guys play. This is getting us back into it, reloading us. I actually did a podcast earlier this afternoon. I don't know. I've lost track of the day. I've done so much already. And we were talking about it. It's like, this is kind of just that time where we're getting ready. They don't do enough like amping us up.
Right.
So that's exactly what this is. To see,
right.
Even Freddie Freeman's a great baseball player, and I'll give him all the credit in the world. To see him hit a dinger, that's just cool. And
I was actually excited, man. I was actually excited to see that. And and seeing Mitchell hit the 2 home runs, I was more excited to see the contact on the baseball. The Brewers, last year, I said it. We've referenced this many times, me and you, that last year it felt like it was either home run or strikeout. And when you see, even though he hit 2 home runs, it was good to see him make solid contact. I just want these guys to start making solid contact, and I think the rules are helping them out with that.
right. Well, and it's an adjustment game. Baseball is a game of inches and a game of adjustments, and they're going out there trying to make the adjustments right now. Pound off that rust. Well, I mean, what better way to do it than swing one out of the park? What was the score? The score was 4-7.
7-4.
4-7. The Brewers had 9 hits and 7 runs, and the Dodgers had 6 hits and 4 runs. So it was a great
and what
game.
I liked about that, because I took notes just in case, and
I love it.
6 of those 9 hits, the 3 were home runs, of course, but the 6 that were actual hits, if you go back and watch the game again or watch the highlights, when those wouldn't have been hits in the era of the shift.
Right.
They would have had
exactly.
a player sitting there. So I like that they stopped the shifts, the infield shifts. But they were talking during the broadcast about bringing somebody, like if you have a power right-handed hitter, they'll bring the right fielder over and play middle center, middle left field. They'll bring them all the way. Just leave right field open.
Right. Because they do have that capability now. And I actually was listening to Tom Catronio's podcast last night when I was driving Ubers. And like there's that potential to do that. And there will be teams that will take advantage of that because you can still do the extreme shifting in the outfield too.
Right.
I thought it was interesting to see how it all operated, especially now we're getting into this. We're getting shorter games. What time does this game start here? It's like 2:10,
3 o'clock, 3:10, something like that. It was a 2-hour and like 30-minute ball game.
It was quick. I had finished the podcast, done a couple things, then I got back on. So it's crazy. It's like it's crazy that we're in this era, and I like that it's more rapid pace. I like that builds the excitement. I mean, you see a game this.
Watching the game, there were 2 pitch clock where they gave balls because the pitchers took too long. There was 2 of them.
Okay.
And they mentioned during the game that when they were doing the testing down in the minor leagues, that at the beginning of the year when they first, did it, there was a bunch of them, but then it went down to, less than 1 a game. They adjusted so quickly. And I think the major leagues will adjust even quicker. I mean, to just have 2 in the first game, I thought that was extraordinary. The pace of the game was just it didn't look rushed. There was no pitchers up there that looked like they were rushing the pitch. Even when they got the clock violation, it was like, all right, clock violation, cool. I got a ball, get back on the rubber and do my thing.
Do it again, right? Just restart, reset the thing and go again. And that's the great part about this is it's an adaptation that's logical. It makes sense. It's not a goofy, weird rule by any means. It's something that
and the batters, there were so many batters, and Brewers were guilty of this too. There was like 4 or 5 Brewers in our lineup that would step off, unstrap their batting gloves, strap them back in, and take 30 seconds to get back in. There was none of that during this game. They just stepped back for a second, stepped back in, and was ready to go.
Ryan Braun's whole little routine would be thrown out the window.
Oh my goodness. Ryan Braun was one of the worst. He took like a minute and a half, 2 minutes between swings. I mean, he swung his bat, adjusted. Yeah, he did all that, man.
Point.
Right.
The whole thing. And that's the meat and potatoes of this is they're just trying to make the game better. And I mean, in a game where you're seeing, this amount of action. Now, again, it's spring, so you didn't have a guy going full distance.
Right.
But at the same time, you're having guys work innings, you're getting guys into counts and things like that. It was very interesting to see how it all played out.
Right.
In a game atmosphere, like
Right.
that's great. I actually had a conversation prior to this, which would be on the podcast that this airs on tomorrow.
Right.
I'm doing a combined thing. Whenever I do two things on Saturday, I gotta combine it because otherwise, the content, the video upload to YouTube, it just isn't there. And I want to get that daily video upload to keep my algorithm up. Regardless of that, about that. But in that conversation, we were talking about there's two guys that are big time takers as pitchers: Corbin Burns and Devin Williams. They take a lot of time to burn. Williams is at almost 30 seconds. And my buddy David of the Barrel Banter podcast, so he's actually working on a short or a video about this. I'll have to link it up in the description, or you can look up the Barrel MKE on YouTube. But they actually like did a breakdown of how long that took. And now he's a collegiate level pitcher, and he's talking about it, and he's like, yeah, it's just a matter of going.
He's just going to have to practice of starting quicker. That's all.
And
I'll tell you somebody who doesn't have a problem with that, the Raptor.
Especially the Raptors in Colorado.
Yeah, he's in Colorado now, but he ain't going to have a problem with that.
In that purple, though. Let me tell you, I saw a picture of him. I hate the pitch clock. I hate the new bases. And I hate Manfred for trying to kill baseball. I think it'll grow on us. I mean, it is, and we're adapting. I'm adapting to the conversation, Pablo. I think
I love the pitch clock. I think it's a good thing. And the players, the big thing is that the players didn't want it. The Players Association would have shot it down immediately.
Right.
And everybody that's been interviewed during baseball games, and I've watched 3 baseball games over the last 2 days. Every player that's gotten interviewed said, "Hey, we love it. We just got to get used to it. There's going to be a feel out process, And as far as the new bases, I like that because one, the first baseman has less of a chance to get spiked, and stealing bases is going to get a little bit better. So
this is great. So this just came across my or Apple Watch. This just came across my watch as we were talking here. Brian Reynolds wants $130 million contract. It says Pirates outfielders sought an 8-year, $134 million deal. And then if he doesn't get that, he's requested to be traded from Pittsburgh after they wouldn't move off of an $80 million deal. Damn. You'd think he'd change his mind playing with Kutch and everything like that. They got a good set of outfielders out in Pittsburgh.
Right.
That's crazy. Now, in a game where you see 7 hits, or no, I'm sorry, 7 runs, 9 hits. And again, spring training, not everybody's warmed up and stuff like that. That's just a good feeling thing. We're talking about the game as a whole. The game is still there. It's just different. And if not guys like me and you, not guys that are actually listening to this podcast, it's the people who aren't listening is who they want to bring in. And there's such a Major League Baseball as a whole is disconnected from its fans. I mean, look at how they handle hyping up the season and bringing people into the season. Right. They're terrible at this.
Right.
They are terrible.
I mean, they made a point. They made a point during the game. The Brewers announcers made a point. Rocking them did that last year. The Major League Baseball, with all their things that they were compiling about these rules, there was over 3.5 minutes between action plays in baseball.
Right.
On average.
Right.
Imagine if the NFL or the NBA took 3.5 minutes between action plays. In other words, they didn't shoot a basketball for 3.5 minutes, or they didn't throw a pass or make a
Commercial
tackle
breaks.
for 3.5 minutes during. You quit watching it.
Well, and and the deeper issue is MLB struggles to hype their product. They don't allow their players to have identities. They don't allow I don't know if it's
Players
if
aren't
it's a
allowed to
thing,
have brands in baseball.
right? But like the other thing that sucks about this is like, okay, the Packers lost on a Sunday a month and a half ago, 2 months ago now almost. You know what I would have been done? I would have had it on deck, tickets go on sale all in the same weekend, a big fan fest, get people hyped, get people jacked. I would start showing videos of the players, not do a thing in a bar, and quietly announce, they didn't even do an Arctic tailgate. There is no hype around this, not enough hype around this sport. Like the stars are the stars.
Right.
People know who Shohei Ohtani and Mike Trout and Aaron Judge are because they're the biggest stars in the game. But the average guys aren't.
I mean, in Milwaukee, people know who Corbin Burns is.
Right,
People know
right.
who Willie Adamas is when he walks around. I mean, you
But
can't.
more people should know, and that's Major League Baseball's fail. And that's so them producing this shortened product, more action packed, is a good thing, but it's a bad thing at the same time because they're doing it for the wrong reasons. That just like, okay, so this is a story that came out this week, and I mentioned this already, but the fact that we're now coming up with budget menu items, which we all know a junior hot dog is going to be like that big, and you're going to pay $4 for it, and you're not going to get full, so you're going to have to buy 6 of those things to even get full, and then you're spending the price of a regular hot dog at that point. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, we know these things are coming. They just they tend to not be in touch. And it's so funny to me that across town, not even across town, 10, 15 minutes away, depending on the traffic on the freeway, is Pfizer Forum, where they're just crushing it out of the park. They're hitting more home runs with how they do stuff than the Brewers hit in the season. They hit 219 last year. That's the Bucks hit 400.
Third best in Major League Baseball.
The Bucks hit 400 home runs last year because of how they do things, and the Deer District, and just the stadium,
and they're winning too.
That's
what's cool too. I know we're doing a Brewers podcast, and the Bucks are winning big.
Oh yeah, what is it? 13 in a row? 12 in a row? What are we at?
13 in a row, I think. Yeah, 13. Yesterday was the 13th, I think.
And Giannis, I'm sorry, but Giannis coming in and with this wrist injury and still doing it, like, come on. Guys get a blister in Major League Baseball and they're out for fucking a month and a half.
Right. That's what me and Connie, my wife, used to call Ben Sheets Mr. Blister. Remember back when he was in his heyday?
Yep.
He would miss 2 or 3 starts because of blisters, and it was like, man, come on. After you get a blister the first time, you'd figured you'd know how to manage it, right?
Right. You would think. I mean, even I think Wade Miley had a couple blister issues back in the day, and I was like,
right,
blister. Put some fucking salve on that and maybe shoot it with. I mean, they've got medical staff right there. I'm sure
wrap
the
tip of your finger with I don't know if it's allowed in Major League Baseball, but wrap the tip of your finger while you're out there practicing,
right?
So it doesn't do the rubbing until the actual game.
Hey, fucking that. Okay,
I mean,
I understand the need to speed up the game, but the pitch clock gets guys out of their routines, and that's not a good thing. I agree. I mean, I do think that this is going to change how people operate as players. I think that over time they'll figure out their routine with the rules, but I do think we're going to see some after effects of it. Maybe not as big as they want to portray, but I do think there will be some effect in the fact that they are not used to it, I guess is the best way to put it. Like Raptor was a fast pitcher, is a fast pitcher. Right. So like he's used to going go, go, go and being at that speed and everything like that. Right. But for for Corbin Burns and a Devin Williams, that's not the regular pace. So is their delivery, is their pitching style going to be a little wonky or a little different because of how deliberate they are? That's where it gets tricky and hard to really understand what the
And can
impact.
they overcome adjusting to that rule? Is Corbin Burns going to get, a couple of those, pitch clock, violations called on him and get frustrated on the mound? That's going to be a big key too. I mean, it's
Right.
okay if you get. It's not the end of the world if you get a ball called on you because you didn't pitch quick enough. It's not the end, especially if you're Corbin Burns. It's not the end of the world.
Right.
I mean, you're talking the number one pitcher in all of baseball, according to everybody, even the shredder.
MLB TV said that. MLB TV put it out last top 10 right now, right?
Yeah.
He was on the top 10 right now.
He's on the top 10 of, I think, every list. I haven't seen a list where he isn't number one.
No, that's true. That's true.
But
I really enjoy it though. I mean, like I'm looking at like literally I just switched the screen to the live scores and stuff like that. And it's like to have live scores, you know what I mean? Like to have I was getting text messages all day.
And you would think with this,
excuse me,
game clock change and all this, and like there's, like these fans are saying that, they're getting out of their routines. You would think for the first 2-3 games of the preseason, low scoring games, because people aren't hitting them. 7-4 game here. I saw a 9-7 game. I think Pittsburgh played it today. Or somebody, it was like 9-7.
So,
they're scoring runs. It's still a 2.5 hour game with a bunch of runs being scored.
Games that went final, we got Angels Mariners 5-1. We've got Padres White Sox 6-2. KC versus the Rangers 10-5. Cleveland versus the Reds 3-4. Tampa Bay versus the Twins 4-8. 2-4 in the Phillies and Tigers. Red Sox A's 6-6. What?
The Red Sox. Yeah.
Spring training, they can call it early.
Yeah, they call it on a tie. They called it on a tie, the Atlanta Braves and the Red Sox today.
Yankees, Phillies 4-7. And there's a bunch more. I'm not gonna read them all.
Right, but
I'm not gonna update the whole
they're
score.
scoring runs. It's not like it's
there's
affecting the run scoring. As a matter of fact, I bet if you put these scores up against last year's first game scores, I bet there's more scoring this year than there was last year.
Right.
I would almost bet a paycheck on that.
Well, and here's the thing. Here is what's really going on too, is we are getting these guys that are more ramped up, more prepared because this is a more normal year. So they've been working on this and thinking about this stuff as they practice, even at home. You know what I mean?
And it's not like it snuck up on them. It's not like, 2 weeks before the season, Major League Baseball said, "Oh, all these rules are coming." They saw it.
No,
a lot of these young kids that are coming up, Mitchell and all them, they saw it in the minors. So they knew the rules were coming.
And that's the big piece is the younger guys are going to be the best at this stuff. The veterans are the ones that are going to have the most trouble with all of this.
Right.
And for whatever reason.
But then again, being a veteran, you should be able to adjust quicker than the young kids. You would think.
I was just looking at. What was I looking at? I can't find it. Of course, that happens to me all the time. So when I go live to do a podcast, like when I'm just recording in my studio and not doing it like live, posted to Facebook or anything like that, I always like to pull up topics. And I always have something on the side. You know what I mean? Like, just so I have something to quick go between. And like, it's funny to me, the amount of stuff that is out there right now. There is so much going on and so much little stuff here to talk about. I've missed things because I'm talking about something else,
Oh yeah. There's I mean, there's baseball is becoming. It's always been a game of stats and
Mhm.
things like that, but I mean, there's a lot of things that have had fans look at the game different. Fantasy baseball is huge now.
Mhm.
Um, and you got all these younger baseball's become younger. A
Oh
lot of
yeah, for
more
sure.
younger players are coming up. I mean, look at all the stars that are stars in Major League Baseball that have only been here 2 or 3 years,
Right.
and they're
Well,
mega stars now.
and one of the cool things is there's a lot more of this becoming more commonplace. More people are sitting behind their phone, their camera, their laptop, and doing this thing, and
Right.
because of this younger generation. I'm not the youngest. I'm 37, but it's
Gosh, what I wouldn't do to be 37 again. I'll be 52 right after baseball season starts. I'll be 52. So
I shoveled for 12 hours the other day, Scott. And
I
let me
don't
tell
miss it.
you, I was like, man, 37's hitting me kind of hard today. But it was a big snow, so like
Right.
and then I shoveled again this morning and it went a lot faster. Whatever. That's
I
my
don't.
life.
That's the one thing I don't miss about being in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, is shoveling the snow. I miss the snow. I miss my Brewers. I miss being right there by the stadium, but I don't miss that snow.
Right.
The work. I feel for you, man.
So a couple of things I talked about this week. We're just gonna kind of recap because that's what the Saturday episode is for.
You good?
So I did talk about like the roster. I gave like a predicted roster. I don't remember it off the top of my head, so I can't tell you. I think I did.
I'm
say it
excited
right.
to see Winker in our lineup.
I do too. I do too. And like 26 man roster, obviously guys like that are going to be there. I also talked about predictions. I think we're going to be a 90 win team. I think that's a solid number. A lot of the Pacotas and things like that have us in the 80s. And I think we can still edge them out and maybe put a little bit further of a gap than
When I
everybody.
did my one day, I take one day a year, and I did it a couple weeks ago. I think it was right when you were doing your the first time you came on and started doing predictions of the Brewers, and it was probably 3 weeks ago.
Probably. I've done it
But
a handful of times.
I
I've said
sat
5
down and I
different
do
things.
one where I look at who's the new players on all the teams and
Yeah.
put it all together. And I came out that the Brewers would come in second place. I think you saw my comment under your
Yeah, I did. I remember
Brewers.
that.
The Brewers. I predicted the Brewers would be in second place and win a wild card and hopefully go deep into the playoffs. But if they hit the ball solid like they did today, and of course, again, it's preseason. It's everybody's getting
Right.
used to these new rules, but I just want to see them make more contact with the baseball and with the new rules. I think we're going to score more runs, and I think we've got. If you mess up and put one over the plate, the Brewers are going to hit it out of the ballpark. There's no doubt about that. We're one of those teams.
Well, and we've got the pitching. So I mean, that's the thing that
And
really
of
works
course,
for
the
our
pitching
purpose.
puts us way over the top. I mean, in the National League, there's no better 1 through. I'll even venture as to say there's no better 1 through 5 than we've got.
Oh, you had 5. I like it, and I
I
agree.
mean,
I mean, I'm
seriously.
not disagreeing with that. I think our pitching is a strong point. It's whether we can
I'll
hit.
put our first 3 up against anybody's first 3.
The other things we talked about. So obviously predictions. Willie Adamas wants to be here. Whether that
Oh,
comes
that
to
makes me so
fruition or
happy.
not, we don't know. It's just speculation at this point because we don't know what happens behind closed doors. They keep that tight to the vest, and I don't blame them. I mean, did you see the World Series odds? We have
No,
40,
I didn't.
40 to 1 chance to win the World Series.
That's not too bad.
I was like, all right, I'll take it.
Yeah, that's not too bad at all.
There was a lot of discussion this week, and this is one of my favorite topics. Was the Mark Antanasio Sell the Milwaukee Brewers Now episode that we did, and that was done by the Butcher. The Butcher does a great job. He comes up with these. He crafted this all on his own. Because he made a comment last week after the Corbin Burns thing, and I said you should make that your next episode. And
I am a huge Antanasio fan, so I personally don't want to see him sell the team. I want to see him. I like him as an owner. People.
Here's the, and this is what I keep hearing. because I was in a lot of conversation. This was like a hotly contested episode. You ever get one of those where you're
Always
firing?
will be. Always
And,
will be.
okay, so like I fired this episode off, and I'm like, yeah, I'll fire it around and see if we can get some good viewership. Now I'm sitting at 188 views on it, and I've had 1.5 million comments throughout the Facebook land, throughout everywhere. And it's either there's two sides to this fence. A lot of people are like, okay, we want him to reinvest, and it doesn't feel like he's going to reinvest at this moment. That's where they're like, sell the team now, buy somebody who wants to reinvest and keep this contender alive. And I think that the old dogs, no offense, old dogs say, no, he's done a great job. We've been in the playoffs for years. And
I'll bark.
It's not about that. I mean,
I'll bark.
I mean, at the end of the day, he has done a great job. We're playing contending baseball. But I want to be greedy, and I want more. And
but
I don't think there's a problem with me wanting more.
If you get too greedy, you get those contracts that we had before Mark got here, that you're paying these players these billions of dollars and they're not worth it. And we end
one
up
way or another, we're going to pay players lots of money. The way the free agency went.
But you know what I mean? They're going to jump at a chance to pay, somebody who isn't worth it. I mean, there's a lot of people right now that look at Yelich's contract after the couple of years he's had and goes, man, were we stupid? But trust me, that money is going to be well spent. He's not going to stay at 235. I just don't think he's going to hit 235.
I think I had a conversation with Dominic Catroni the other night, and I think he was dead on. He was dead set on it, and he said 275. More of a Miami Marlins type of Christian Yelich, and I'm okay with a Miami Marlins Christian Yelich.
That'd be
he
great.
Doesn't have to be
as
the
long
guy
as this on base, because they're going to lead him off. As long as this on base percentage is up there, hey,
right? Let's get it.
He's got the speed. He's the best base runner in all of baseball, hands down. He turns the bases better than anybody I've ever seen in Major League Baseball.
Did you see my funny title from this week?
No.
Okay, so all the crap that Rogers is getting right now about his darkness retreat, and he's going in a dark room for 4 days straight or whatever, and there's no light whatsoever. So Christian Yelich in his comments to the media this week said, I kind of unplugged and I stayed in the dark or something to that nature. And I took that and ran with it. I was like, oh, this is great. Like, he didn't follow anything baseball is what he was meaning. He just enjoyed his family time and unplugged from baseball for a while. And I just took it and ran with it and made a hell of a title out of it. And a lot of people were like, what? I'm like, yeah, I was just being funny. I was just using something of currents to and I'm going to toot my own horn. I think it's hilarious. I think it's fucking hilarious.
I like that, man.
Yeah, and then Corbin Burns stuff. We've talked enough about that. I beat that horse to death. I think that saga's over. We don't need to talk about it anymore.
Yeah, save it for next year, because next year, trust me, it's going to come right back up again.
Right. Well, it will. And the stuff is going to resurface. All these topics resurface and recirculate. It may not be Corbin Burns next year. It might be Devin Williams or Willie Adames that they're, there has been like a series of one a year. Like last year, it was Adrian Hauser. Right. So there's been a series of one a year for the last couple of years. Otherwise, I mean,
and being a small market baseball team and wanting to pay a small market fee, that's the one thing everybody talks about Mark Antanasio. He wants to pay the small market fee because he doesn't want to overpay for players, like we said, because if they flop, then he looks really, really bad. But like you said, I'm to the point too where we're right at the cusp of greatness. We've got the top two pitchers in that 1-2 punch in baseball. We've got Tellez, 35 home runs, 30 home runs every year he's been on the field. Willie Adames, who wants to stay in Milwaukee, made it a point to go public and say, hey, I really like Milwaukee. I want to stay here. Willie Adames hit the most home runs for a shortstop in Major League Baseball last year. Can hit the ball. He is a guy who in the dugout, he is If he's happy, the dugout's happy. If he's mad, the dugout's mad. I mean, he's one of those guys.
The team beats with him. He's more of what
Yes.
you would have expected out of a Christian Yelich when Christian Yelich
Christian Yelich should be doing what Adames is doing.
Right. But he's very dry. I mean, I saw a video of him earlier this week when Urias was recording with the social media phone for the Brewers.
Oh my gosh, did that tell a lot about the Brewers?
Okay, Yelich. That just said Yelich's personality because all he could think to say was "Sup Brewers," and I'm like,
Brewers.
what? How weird are you? Like, you're just an odd individual, and I remember that. So, like, I went to that on deck when Christian Yelich was introduced, and it was like I got in line, and there was like not a big line because he wasn't hyped. Obviously, like he wasn't the big hype like thing. And I snuck in line, and me and my wife got in there, and we got a photo with him. And I just remember the guy being very robotic and weird. And I don't know, maybe he did have braces at that time. I'd have to look at the photo. We have a photo with him. But it was just, it's like it's funny because that guy being around a charismatic character like Ryan Braun for all those years and Lorenzo Cain did not pick up on any of that. It's just like hit him like a brick wall and then drop to the floor. Like what? Why are you so weird?
I remember the first time I went to the I can't remember what they call it now, the winter thing
On
where
deck?
you go. Yeah, we went. It was free back then. When they first had it, it was free. You could go, and the year that I went, they had they had like 5 players at a table all throughout the stadium. You probably remember that one. You'd get in line and then you'd go down and you'd have all 5 players. Well, I got a baseball in the other room where I've got everybody. The only 2 players on that team I didn't get to sign it was El Caballo and Ben Sheets. Everybody else signed that baseball. Even Darren Sutton and The Rock signed it. I even got Mark Antanasio to sign it. I mean, the only 2 people I'm missing is Ben Sheets and El Caballo.
That's awesome.
The funny story in my house is me and my wife got into an argument one time, and I was gonna leave her. And the only thing I grabbed was that baseball when I left. That's how important that baseball was to me. And she laughs every time we get into just a little. We've been married 15 years. We're never going to get divorced. But it's just funny.
That's just a funny
she never lets me forget that. Well, if you're going to leave, grab the baseball.
That's so good. That's so good, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate your good stories. Like, it's fun to just do this. And anytime that anybody wants to do this with me, Scott's done this a couple times. I like having Scott on. I love talking baseball.
I'll talk Brewers baseball, especially when the season starts. I get adamant. Everybody in this house knows when a Brewer game starts.
We're going to be going. We're going to be doing. I think the podcasts are going to be recorded live after the games once the season starts. We got a lot of stuff that we're working on. Working on some of these bad boys.
There you go.
My Teespring thing got rejected though. It was weird, like because of the logo, and it's like, no, that's my logo. My family created it. My wife and stepdaughter created this thing. What the hell? I don't know. Long story short, they'll be up as soon as I figure out this case with them. I had to like submit a claim and figure it all out. It's just a lot to manage.
It'll be just something stupid. You'll probably get through there.
I will. I figure I will. I mean, it's just they got to look at it and review and be like, oh yeah, that's not anything. It was probably a system generated type of thing. But yeah, so those will be up once I post it. So I'll let you know about those, Scott. Yeah, I'm going to incorporate an interview or another chat with another podcaster after this here. So this one's going to lead into the next one. So we're just going to wrap up with Scott. Scott. Indie wrestling podcast, the hashtag truth. Guy is a stud. If you want to hear how good he does with these wrestlers and how entertaining he is and his true element, go watch the hashtag truth with Scott Larson. It's a great show.
It's going to be starting back Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays at 7 p.m. Thank you.
That's awesome, man. All right. Well, you have a great rest of your day. I am going to kick it off. And for those of you listening to the audio or the video version of this podcast, we are going to kick into Peter Go of the Barrel Banter podcast. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a great day.